Hey guys, welcome back to What If Jazz Was in Transformers Prime. Let's talk about it here. When we last left off here, the Autobots both went different ways here to uncover the relics of the Forge of Solus Prime and the Requiem Blaster here, with the Decepticons getting the Requiem Blaster and the Autobots getting the Forge of Solus Prime early in the timeline here. And so Jazz decided that, well, when he was injured, to upgrade himself with the Polarity Gauntlet, thus increasing his magnetism and kind of giving him a, I guess you could say, somewhat of a Beast Hunter style or a Beast Hunter's form here, if you will. But again, that's not the point. He just has the upgrade. His magnetic ability is a lot more powerful. So let us begin here with the rest of the Relicons, starting with the Phase Shifter. But first things first, we're going to talk about something else here. The Decepticons. Back on the warship here, Megatron is actually frustrated with the Requiem Blaster. It didn't do like it said. It didn't annihilate everything in front of it here. And so, after some consideration here and actually talking about it with Shockwave here, Shockwave actually does some digging along with Knockout here. And so, they both come to the conclusion that Megatron's Requiem Blaster isn't even at full power. To which it needs a strong source to, well, connect itself to which Megatron then asks, okay, what do you mean? To which, when Knockout actually explains the lore of the Requiem Blaster, it's actually able to, well, it requires the energy of a supernova or something just as equivalently powerful here. So Megatron says, okay, then we'll just blow up Earth's sun. And to which, this is where they say that could be very logical, but also illogical at the same time, just to power one weapon. To which, this is where Megatron says, and then he looks at his fusion cannon and says that considering his fusion cannon responds to his will, maybe the Requiem Blaster would do the same. To which Shockwave says that could be a great risk, my lord, considering it is space-time energy that does flow. And to which, this is where Megatron points out that he still has Dark Energon within him, the blood of Unicron. So maybe they can make a way for it to, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess you could say have a symbiotic connection. And so Shockwave, realizing this here, says that is logical. However, Soundwave decodes the next relics, and so, with Breakdown being alive in this timeline here, considering the sheer fact that, well, Arachnid wasn't foolish enough to betray the Decepticons here because of all the loyalists around here, and the sheer fact that, well, this means that Mech doesn't have any bodies. Kind of, bad here, if you get what I'm saying, but hey, less human problems, the better. So with that being said, Knockout and Breakdown are the ones to go into the subway and go to retrieve the Phase Shifter. However, the Autobots also have their own thing here, that being Cliff Jumper and Bumblebee. And again, one of the few things that we have to talk about here is that there are more Autobots. Wheeljack stays in this timeline here. And Cliff Jumper is alive due to the sheer fact that Jazz actually saved him. So the Autobots have basically an entire roster at their disposal here. So this allows them to not only take Jack and, well, I'm not going to say Miko. I'm going to say Sierra, because again, that is Jazz's human partner. So this makes everything a lot easier when it comes to really just, I guess you could say, how they navigate the situation here. And so, considering I would definitely make Sierra a bit more smarter than Jack here when it comes to, like, how people work, how to be a people's person here, I would definitely have that situation play out where they meet Fogel. They're actually able to just fool him and, well, get out of there safely. However, let's talk about the battle for the Phase Shifter itself here. With no Insecticons being discovered in this timeline, this means that Bumblebee and Cliffjumper have an easier time taking out the Viacons here. And again, let's just kind of real here. The Insecticons were, like, busted in some episodes, but then we're straight cannon fodder in others. Like, can we pick a lane? Like, I would love if they actually did that here. But with that being said, Bumblebee engages Knockout while Cliffjumper engages Breakdown. Bumblebee and Knockout actually do get to the Phase Shifter at the same time here, but again, Bumblebee's able to wrestle it from Knockout's grasp, transforms, and drives off. Knockout, seeing that this is their, well, relic getting away, transforms and goes after Bumblebee as well here. Meanwhile, Cliffjumper versus Breakdown, right? I think this is pretty interesting, considering the sheer fact that Cliffjumper has survived and actually would have gotten a lot stronger as well here. I'm not saying he's physically going to be able to beat Breakdown, but he's smart and strategic enough to actually not only outmaneuver, but to actually utilize his skill and training from Jazz here to actually be able to put in that work, and actually puts it in on Breakdown pretty significantly here, considering he's learned how to be patient from his fight with Spitter and to be a lot more, I guess you could say, defensive thanks to his training here. So Cliffjumper is actually able to put up a decent fight against Breakdown and manages to get the win when the tunnel that they're in collapses and Cliffjumper is able to jump back in time here, kind of burying Breakdown temporarily beneath the rubble. But this gives him time to transform, get Jack and Sierra out of there, and actually go to help Bumblebee. Meanwhile, Bumblebee and Knockout are actually continuing their own chase in this situation here. And this actually, I guess you say, gets a little bit wild in the subway here, both doing different twists and turns here, barely evading trains as they both drive on the ceiling, which I think would be actually pretty epic if I'm not gonna lie. And so with that being said, I actually do think Knockout eventually does catch Bumblebee by using his side blasters to shoot him in the tire. So, with that being said, Knockout transforms and goes to stab Bumblebee. However, Bumblebee transforms and actually flip kicks him like he actually did Breakdown in the Speed Metal episode here, sending Knockout crashing into the electrical power lines and electrocuting him and, well, scorching and burning some of his paint off here. Realizing that he's in no shape to really combat them now, Knockout actually flees, regrouping with Breakdown, and they realize that, well, they just lost. So, one relic down. They have the phase shifter. Now, on to the next one, the toxin. Now, I'm having this episode play a lot earlier because I want to have a different way of, I guess you could say, demonstrating how different everything is in this timeline here. Instead of Bulkhead going alone, he goes with Wheeljack because, again, it makes the most sense. So Bulkhead and Wheeljack are the ones to go and retrieve the toxin. However, they are intercepted by Blackout and Oil Slick here. Now again, Oil Slick is the one to discover the toxin. However, due to how his body is, considering he is immune to some chemical concoctions here, I actually do think he would actually have an armor resistant enough of the toxin. And so when he discovers it, they're getting ready to teleport it back or transport it back to Megatron here. However, Wheeljack shoots the canister out of his hand and actually just, well, drop kicks Blackout here. And so Bulkhead, utilizing the distraction, runs up behind Oil Slick and whacks him with his wrecking ball. Realizing the situation that they're in here, Wheeljack grabs the concoction and drives up the volcano with Oil Slick right behind him. And so Bulkhead engages Blackout, just two brutes slugging it out here. However, one big problem. Blackout, considering I am keeping him just like his Transformers animated counterpart, is a little dumb. Not entirely stupid, but dumb. And so, utilizing his EMP stump ability here, he causes the volcano to violently, shake. And this actually starts an eruption process here. And so, Oil Slick actually tries to use his cosmic rust from a cannon here to hit Wheeljack. However, remember what I said, that the Autobots were starting to be a lot more adaptive in this timeline to these new Decepticons? Yeah, it doesn't work. And this is because the Autobots have reinforced themselves with carbon fiber, meaning that cosmic rust is not going to affect them here. This is one of the few reasons, like I said in one of my previous what ifs for, this what if series. Jazz actually noted that one of his comrades, or his version of Sideswipe, actually had carbon fiber, making him immune to cosmic rust during the war. So the Autobots took the initiative with the help of the humans and Agent Fowler to actually get carbon fiber and utilizing it to reinforce their bodies so that they would actually be immune to the cosmic rust here, because that was a pretty big threat. And so this just means Oil Slick has to use other things, his acid, his smoke screens, and maybe whatever he has on deck here. And so Wheeljack is actually almost getting hit by this here, because again, he's still carrying the toxin kind of in a raw fashion, if you will, here, because again, he just shot out of his hand and just grabbed it just like right then and there just to drive it off here. So yeah, he's going to need a detox when he gets back to base here. When they reach the top of the volcano, there's actually a lot more magma than before here. So Wheeljack just tosses it in there, and Oil Slick tries to hit him with an acid blast to the back here. However, Wheeljack dodges it in such a smooth fashion that he throws his sword right through Oil Slick's spark, extinguishing it here. And so this actually shocks Wheeljack. He didn't think that would actually be, that smooth of a transition here. And so, yeah, Oil Slick bites the dust yet again. Now, you might say, why would I kill Oil Slick here? And it's because it's to kind of show that the Decepticons, while they have the numbers advantage, they're not skilled. They're not trained. And Wheeljack and the Autobots have prepared themselves so well that it's actually shocking to them here. So, Wheeljack killing Oil Slick would actually make the most sense here, considering the sheer fact that I do think if this even got into the same way that Bulkhead fought Hardshell, but with just Wheeljack and Oil Slick, Wheeljack would have killed Oil Slick. I think it would have just been there regardless here. So when he drives his way back down to Bulkhead, he finds Bulkhead tired, battered, and bruised, but still victorious, over and unconscious. Blackout here. So with that being said here, they get back to base. Successful. Like it's, an average day here for them here. But yeah, Wheeljack does need to get heavily detoxed from the amount of toxin he had here. So Ratchet able to do that, no problem. But now we have another thing, the Renaissance Blaster. Instead of having Soundwave go, I think that it would be more interesting to have Skyquake and Shockwave be the ones to go along with Starscream. Now, who are the Autobots that go to get it here? And I'm actually going to say Jazz and Jetfire. Again, that's just my duo, Because again, in all honesty, I do like this here. Because if you guys remember some of the old Transformers anime series like Armada, Energon, and Cybertron, Jetfire was basically Optimus's Jazz, if you guys get what I mean. He was his second in command through and through. And I loved it. I really did. It's one of the few reasons why I liked Jetfire as a character here, because of those three. And again, I like Jazz as a character through and through. So these two just being together, plus, follow Cybertron and all that, gave that duo the time of their life, just defeating Bruticus. Yeah, I'm going to have it here. So, believe it or not, the Renaissance Blaster would actually be a bit different here, with Jetfire being the one to scout ahead, along with the same way for Skyquake here. And so, when Skyquake finds it, he finds Jetfire, or at least they spot each other, and this means that, well, a dogfight is just going to have to begin. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it here. However, Shockwave is able to make his way towards the Renaissance Blaster a bit quicker here, due to the sheer fact that I think the Decepticons would have been able to bridge maybe slightly closer. Again, Decepticon engineering has always been the best, so it is what it is. So Jazz actually gets close, or at least drives up the side of the cliff here with Shockwave shooting at him, and when he transforms, he drop kicks Shockwave, sending him sprawling back here. To which, when he looks at him, he recognizes him immediately. And he says that, "You're this universe's Shockwave, aren't you?" To which Shockwave, even if you can't tell, he looks amused, saying that, "Oh, so you're an Autobot from an alternate universe. Was your Shockwave just as deadly?" And he would just pretty much reply saying that, "Twice as deadly as you'll ever be." To which Shockwave, even if you can't really, tell he's a bit enraged by this here, does unload his cannon on Jazz here. However, Jazz is actually able to use his new magnetic abilities to a whole nother level, actually stopping the blast midway and then actually refluxing or repulsing the blasts right back at Shockwave, causing him to block it here. And so Jazz utilizes this opportunity when Shockwave blocks to get in close here. Actually, just straight up, I guess you could say speed abusing here. Just outmaneuvering him, fighting him and stuff here. To which he says he's done this back with his Shockwave, but again, he would have needed help, as there is no way he would have done this with, his Shockwave in the slightest. So, Jazz again giving credit to his Decepticons where it's due here. To which Shockwave actually manages to grab him and fling him back here before transforming into his vehicle mode. However, Jazz does the same. And when he speeds around Shockwave, actually utilizing the speed that, he can gain here, or, the momentum of his speed, he actually does the same thing he did against Brawl, jumping on top of Shockwave and just maneuvering his cannon. However, the shot of his cannon goes into Skyquake here, who has to, no choice but to utilize this opportunity, and he actually grabs Jetfire in his, vehicle form here, and they both plunge to the ground. Jazz, seeing this here, jumps off of Shockwave, transforms, and goes after Jetfire, meaning that, Shockwave is able to get the Renaissance Blaster and claim it. He's not. I don't think he can use it because of just how skinny it looks here. I don't think it's gonna fit on it. It would be an interesting thing. Maybe he could just point it at them and just use it here, but it would just look so weird being placed on Shockwave, So he just takes it, reports to Lord Megatron, and he gets a ground bridge back to the Decepticon base here. You might say, whoa, he just left Skyquake. He left his second in command here. Well, here's the thing, right? Jazz makes his way towards the crash site, finding out that Jetfire was able to reverse the maneuverability of the fallen trajectory here, and basically Skyquake took the brunt of the fall here. And so Jetfire is actually injured, but fine, if you guys get what I mean. He's not on death's door. Meanwhile, Skyquake actually is here. And so this is where Jetfire just simply states, we could just finish him off here, To which Jazz says, no. Even I'm not that cruel or ruthless. Or not that ruthless, To which Jetfire says, yeah, but it's a good opportunity, isn't it? And he says, yeah, but also this is as well here. And so when he contacts Optimus, he tells him prepare any shackles or, cuffings that they have here. And this is where they both pick up Skyquake and actually carry him back into base, signifying that while they may not have a relic, they managed to take out, or at least inadvertently, take out one of Megatron's lieutenants here. And so, how does this go back on the warship? Well, I wouldn't say it goes too well. Shockwave gets not only scolded, but this time actually punched right in the face here. Because again, Megatron not only just lost Oil Slick, but he also now has to deal with one of his more reliable Decepticons in the hands of the Autobot enemy. Now, while he knows Skyquake won't talk, this is still a deafening blow to the Decepticons here. And so this hurts them in some way, shape, or form, because now he says that Stryker will be his second in command until further notice. To which Stryker does, acknowledge that and says that she's ready to depart for the next relic and takes Arachnid with her here. Now, how does the, journey for the Apex armor go? Well, in this timeline, Optimus, having more Autobots at his disposal, takes RC with him in this timeline. So this means that, in all honesty, it's a very interesting thing. I do think the Decepticons would definitely make their way there first because Arachnid is a flyer. And so Stryker can just simply follow her in order for the guidance for the relic. And this is where I would have a whole lot of things changes here. The human military base gets wiped out, slaughtered, just annihilated by Stryker and Arachnid here. And they are able to find the Apex armor. However, due to the sheer fact that destroying the human base caused so much noise, the Autobots are able to make their way there. And we actually get to see Optimus versus Stryker and RC versus Arachnid here. This time, there is no running. There is no escape for Arachnid this one. and she is just beaten down on by a much more better trained and a much more skilled RC. Meanwhile, Optimus and Stryker is a back and forth here, but this is due to Stryker's more hulking-like frame here. However, Optimus utilizes the fact that he is faster than her, and actually notes this here. So, with that being said, he not only manages to outmaneuver Stryker, but beats her with the experience of a 5,000-year-old war veteran, or however old the Autobots are. You guys get what I mean here. A war veteran in their era is like massively dangerous in hand-to-hand combat, but you guys get what I mean. So Optimus beats Stryker, and RC in a very quick fashion puts Arachnid down with a shot to the chest here. And so the Autobots claim the Apex armor. But again, Optimus does feel a somewhat twinge of disappointment on the fact that Arachnid did have to be killed here. However, considering the relic here, he does understand the motive, or at least the plight of the situation. And so does state that RC did a great job here. And RC does feel a lot better for being able to finally avenge Tailgate. And so, with an unconscious strike on the ground here, they decide that it is better to take her off the board as well. Meaning the Autobots not only have one, but two prisoners, and this infuriates Megatron to no end, as not only did he lose Oil Slick, but he lost Arachnid as well here. Two of his most dangerous Decepticons taken out just like that. And that's where we're going to leave it off here today, you guys. Please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends, and I'll see you guys later for another video.